Hi and welcome back to my channel Rita's Stories. So today I thought I would do a product review on this, which is the Tommee Tippee made for me double electric breast pump. So this box is the single version, but here I actually have the double version, the double pump, and I'll explain how I ended up with the single and the double a little bit later on. So if you caught my video last week that I posted, I did a product review on the MAM double electric 2-in-1 breast pump. And if you haven't seen it, I'll make sure I'll link it up here. That breast pump, that's the MAM one, I had been using exclusively to breastfeed my baby for the first 3 to 4 months of her life. And so I had grown really used to using that one, and I have found a number of pros and cons about it, which I detail in my product review from last week. But this was given to me secondhand by a friend after she had finished using it, and she thought that I could do like a compare and contrast with that pump that I had been using. So I have been using this one for, since she was about 5-6 months old. So I've been using it for quite a while now, and there are definitely things I like more on this one versus the MAM version, and some things that I like about the MAM breast pump that I didn't like so much about this one. So I've written my pro and con list in my handy notebook, and let's just jump straight in and go through my thoughts on the product. So first of all, like the video last week, I'll go through the pros first and then the cons, and then I will conclude this video with whether I would recommend it and whether I would use it again for any future breastfeeding journeys. So first of all, the pros. Moving this aside to not get confused, because as mentioned, this is a double breast pump. This box is a single, so let's not get confused with that. So first of all, I wanted to say my pro on this is that, as you can see, the unit, the breast pump unit itself, is very small. Kind of fits in the palm of your hand and is light, it's quite compact. And I really like it for that reason. It can fit in your handbag easily, it can fit in your changing bag easily. And so versus some other brands on the market, it is a lot lighter and smaller than those. So definitely a pro. I would say in terms of the actual kind of pump and all the parts itself, I feel like there are less pieces in this kind of setup versus some other brands, and that is a huge pro. If you're still in the early stages of your breastfeeding or expressing journey and your baby is still very little, you will be pumping pretty much every 2 to 3 hours if expressing is the only way that you're feeding your baby. And so actually cleaning 2 or 3 pieces less every 2 to 3 hours makes a huge difference. And so in terms of actually counting the actual pieces you need, you've got the bottle 1, the horn 2, 3, 4, diaphragm 5, and then this is the valve 6, and then the actual, I don't even know what to call it, the actual thing, 7. So there's 7 pieces that you need to clean, and arguably you don't even really need to clean these at least every time, because it doesn't really touch the breast milk in any way, because the breast milk kind of bypasses under here. And so you need to clean this because the underside of this diaphragm cup will touch the milk, but the milk doesn't get into the diaphragm and therefore doesn't get onto these lids. So yeah, I really like it because there aren't that many pieces and it's just quite easy to clean. I also really like the fact that this is like a one-piece horn. They call it a horn, but it can be called a phalange in some other brands. But I like the one piece because, again, for cleaning purposes and assembling purposes, it makes it super easy. It is siliconed and it is like grippy, so it kind of grips onto your breast, but it is comfortable because it is molded, but yet it is siliconed. So in terms of, there are areas where it can give you extra cushioning if you need it. So I really like that. Also, it is a pro and a con, but it's supposed to be a one size fits all. For me, it worked. I never had any issues with it being too big or too small, and so that made it really easy. I've tried some other breast pumps whereby you have all these different flange sizes and you need to measure yourself, and it's just a bit confusing and you don't really know what size, and then you're out by a couple millimeters. Do those millimeters make such a huge difference? Probably. But I've also read some reviews where some women have posted and said that the one size fits all doesn't actually fit them. So pros and cons of that. For me, it was a pro that I just needed to worry about the one size and I didn't need to measure myself or add any complexity to the issue in any way. So yes. The settings that you have mirror the left and right side. So you only have one set of settings. So you have your massage mode, which goes from level 1 through to 5. And I really like that it cycles through the levels itself. So you switch the machine on and you'll be on level 1 for the massage to stimulate lactation. And then after 20 or 30 seconds, something like that, it will move from level 1 to level 2. After another 20, 30 seconds, it will move from level 2 to 3, then 3 to 4, then 4 to 5. And then at level 5, that will be the highest level on the massage mode. And then your milk should have come through by then, if not before. And then you would manually move it to the expression mode. And for the expression mode, it goes from level 1 through to level 9. So there are still quite a number of different combinations and modes that you can use with a machine, despite it being smaller and despite it mirroring the left side to the right side and the right side to the left side. It is quite compact but still quite versatile. In terms of charging, you can see that there is a USB charging hole. And that is really handy because when you're out and about, you might have forgotten your charger. Most households, if you're visiting friends and family, will have a USB charger. And so you can actually charge pretty easily, even if you've forgotten the actual plug. Also, and I've done this myself, you can actually charge in the car. So, you know, you can get those cigarette lighter chargers that you plug in, and normally you charge your phone in the car using the cigarette lighter. You can actually charge this through it. It might take longer to charge because I don't know about the voltage. It might be quite a lot lower in a car, but actually it can get you by. So if you're really stuck in a jam, you can just sit in the car. If you're a passenger, don't do this whilst you're driving, but as a passenger, you can charge this whilst pumping and you're good to go. So I really, really like that. And because in terms of the modes and all the different combinations, whilst I did say it's quite versatile, and it is quite simple to use because there is no left function, right function, and then all like, do you want to do it at the same time? Do you want to alternate sides and all of that? So it's just quite simple to use. As I'll demonstrate, switch it on. The wavy icon means you're in the massage mode, which is the stimulation mode, which stimulates your milk to come through. And then once your milk has come through, and you can go up on different levels. As mentioned, it maxes out at level 5 for the massage modes. And then once your milk has come through, then you switch it to the teardrop and that is your express mode, and this goes up to level 9. So most people should be able to find a level or a setting that's comfortable for them. Also, another thing to mention is that this breast pump, double breast pump, is quite affordable versus some other brands. At the time of filming, you can get this from Argos and it retails for £130, which is a lot cheaper versus some other brands. And as you know, if you're a mum-to-be or you've already had kids, purchasing all these baby products can cost the world. And I would definitely say, you know, if you can get a cheaper, just as good pump versus some other brands, you might want to go with a cheaper, more affordable option. And this is definitely a more affordable breast pump that I've found on the market. So that is definitely a pro. And I think those are all my points for the pros. Some other thing I wanted to mention, which kind of straddles between a pro and a con, is the customer services. Customer services I found amazing for Tommee Tippee. The reason being is because I had a problem with it, which is a con, but I found that when I contacted customer services, Tommee Tippee, I had basically broken this, and I found a little hairline crack in this, which stopped it working. And whilst they don't do replacements of this, what they did do is they ended up sending me a brand new pump. And so from this brand new pump, I managed to swap out my broken diaphragm of this with a brand new one, and so I could get my machine working again. So I would say the pro is that the customer services was very good at responding back to me. I think I contacted them on a Friday night. Why do these things always happen over a weekend? But yes, it happened to me on a Friday night. I was assembling my pump back together and, you know, was getting ready to pump, started the machine, and I found a hairline crack on this diaphragm, not this actual one. It was actually this one. A hairline crack on this diaphragm, which meant that the pump that it was in, it wasn't sucking any of the milk from me, and I was really engorged on one side, whereas the other side was working. So I knew there was nothing wrong with the pump per se. It was something wrong with some of these pieces. And yeah, sure enough, there was a fault in this. So I contacted Tommee Tippee via social media. They got back to me. We corresponded, I think, on email. And I think they even called me back on a Saturday, and I explained to them the situation. I said to them that I was really concerned that if I waited too long, that it would affect my supply, and it meant that I could only pump one at a time, or just pump one breast, etc. Anyway, they were really good. They sent this through to me next day delivery in the post. And as mentioned, I just swapped out the diaphragms, old for new, put it in my existing pump, and away I went and continued with my life, continued pumping, and everything was fine. It did mean that it was a shame that they just don't do replacement parts, and they just had to send me the whole thing. I mean, it's good for me because I get essentially a brand new single electric breast pump, but it's actually of no use to me in this way, and I can't give it to friends because it's missing the part that I've taken out to then substitute with the one that I've broken. So anyway, good customer services. So moving on to the cons, and there aren't that many, but one of my biggest bugbears is that with this machine, you can just like that not realise and accidentally switch it on. It would have been really handy if on this machine somewhere there was a button to lock the settings or a master on-off switch, whereby even if you were to pack this in your handbag or in luggage what have you, you know that it won't accidentally switch on, because the last thing you want is that it switch on in your bag and you put your bag in the back of your car and it's vibrating and you can't hear it, and by the time you've gotten to your destination it's run out of battery because it's been on the whole time. That would be definitely one thing I would say a master on-off switch would have come in really handy. The other thing I would say is the one horn piece funnel, which again, I mentioned it in my pros, it's great that it's just one piece, but the bad thing is that it's quite grippy, which means fluff and dirt kind of gets stuck to it quite easily. I mean, you'd wash it off, it'll come off with a soapy water and a sponge, and that's great, but I feel like it attracts a lot of dirt, and over time I feel like this has discoloured. At the time of using it, never really noticed, but when I got sent a brand new box, and let me open this up, I noticed when comparing, it's quite different in colour over time. So this is the brand new one, and this one here in this hand is the older one, and as you can see it has wear and tear, it has discoloured, and I just think whilst I have been quite good at washing this, I've got a separate bottles washing up bowl that I use with a separate sponge, different from my pots and pans and plates etc. sponge, and so even that has discoloured, which I've been surprised at, whereas this one being brand new, I can imagine that if you're someone who will just throw it in their dishwasher, and your dishwasher, you know, has plates and pots and pans with remnants of other like curries or bolognese and other like stainy sauces from dinner, I can imagine these parts to discolour quite easily and stain. So that's just something to mention. I don't know if it's because it's silicone or if it's like a soft plastic, but yeah, it does discolour over time, which can look quite gross even though it's clean. Other thing to say is, and I mentioned it before, the one size fits all. For me it was a pro, but for some others, I can imagine it won't be a one-size-fits-all situation. So that's just something I wanted to flag in this video for you. And then the other thing I wanted to say, two more things. As this is a small and compact unit, it only has a 90-minute battery life from fully charged. And with that, I would have to caveat, it depends on your settings that you have. If you're, you know, ramping it all the way up to level 9 on the expression mode, it might not last a full 90 minutes. But if you're out for the full day and you're doing more than 3 pump sessions, of which each one is roughly about 30 minutes, you're pretty much going to hit that 90-minute battery life. So I would say it would have been more handy if the battery life was longer, but obviously I imagine a longer battery life, a bigger unit, heavier battery, that kind of thing. So I mean, that's definitely something to consider if you see yourself out and about a lot with a newborn and you are expressing. That might be a consideration when making your purchase decision. Only a 90-minute runtime from fully charged. And so the last con on this product, I would say for me, is the bottles. This was quite a big bugbear for me, and at one point in my journey of pumping and expressing, I was really worried about supply, and for me, trying to get every drop out of this bottle was really important. And as you can see from the design of this bottle, there's almost like a lip whereby you can't get every single drop of milk out of this bottle, no matter how you pour it. So you can pour it to a certain point, and then some milk, not a huge amount, but some milk will gather in this like little lip, this little crevice. And then if you keep pouring, it still ends up trapped because that is the lower point versus there. And so it doesn't get over the lip. And then if you keep pouring all the way to that side, then the milk, I find, runs round the rim of the bottle to this side, and then you can't get it. Anyway, I tried loads of different methods, and basically the only way I found I could get all the milk out of this bottle is by using a syringe. So I had some leftover unopened colostrum syringes that I had got given by my midwife when I was in the last stages, the last few weeks of pregnancy. And for me, I had to use the syringe and syringe up the milk that I couldn't pour out, and then put that into my baby's bottle or into a milk storage bag for the freezer. And so for me, that's the only way I managed to do it, which I don't think that is a great design. I don't know, maybe most people just, pump the milk or have the milk for their baby, and then what doesn't get used or can't come out just gets tossed in the bin. But for me, and like I said, at one point I felt like my supply was drying up. I was really panicking, which probably didn't help to the whole trying to get my supply up issue, but I couldn't get every single drop out, and that was really bugging me, and that really infuriated me. My workaround was the syringe, but then not everyone has that, and that is annoying. So I don't know why necessarily Tommee Tippee would have designed the bottle with this weird lip thing going on. I think it would have been better to have made the bottle like a funnel, so all the milk would kind of drip through. But yeah, that's how the bottles are. So yeah, I mean, I've really actually enjoyed using this, more so than I thought I would. With all the research that I did, I was very happy with the purchase that I had made, which wasn't this one, as my main breast pump. However, having tried my friend's one, I really, really enjoyed it. I'm still using it now. But yeah, I mean, back to my initial question, would I recommend this product? I would. I think it's pretty good. Would I use it in future pregnancies? I would definitely say I would do a lot more research into the wearable pumps. Since I started my journey, and even not that long ago, my breastfeeding journey with my baby, I would say there's been a lot more brands that are kind of diving into the wearable pumps market. And I believe Tommee Tippee have actually, earlier on in this year, launched a wearable breast pump. And so there are more brands moving into that area, and I would definitely do more research. At the time when I purchased my double electric breast pump, I kind of thought it was a bit too expensive, the brands that I was looking into. If I had my time again, that would be something I would probably have purchased. But for today's video, that kind of draws me to a close. I hope you found this video helpful. Make sure you give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, if you managed to get something out of it. Make sure you subscribe to my channel and tick that notification bell so you get notified when I'm releasing more content. I've got a few more reviews to do. I don't know which ones yet, but I've got a few more to do baby product wise, which I've got in the pipeline. So make sure you stay tuned for those. But until the next video, I'll see you guys next time. Bye!